Good evening, good evening. How are y'all doing tonight? What is this, Wednesday? It's Wednesday. Listen, you've made it to the middle of your week of your week. Like, congratulations. You're closer to being done with your work week than you are to it starting, at least for a lot of people. For some people, you don't necessarily have that luxury. I know some people, you start work a little bit later in the week than other people do. But whatever way it is, I am just appreciative of the fact that you are here. Can I please just shout out Kenya Hutchins Hollis for my dope bracelets? I only wear Gaussian charm bracelets. Her bracelets are made with gemstones, and I just love them. And y'all, this is like my new favorite set. I think I probably have like 8 or 9 sets from Kenya Hutchins Hollis. And they are handcrafted, y'all. The beads are even handcrafted. I just feel so pretty. And honestly, my children, I annoy them so bad with these because, they make noise. So I'll just sometimes like be driving and I'll just make noise for no reason at all. Like, it's just necessary to do that. Listen, I want you all to do me a favor and share this interview out. I'm really excited about the fact that, I cannot believe that we've come to the end of the God Blocked It takeover, right? So we have been throughout January and February. I have been interviewing the co-authors of God Blocked It. This is the newest international best-selling devotional anthology. It hit #1 in the US as well as in the UK. Y'all, we do global takeovers, okay? That's exactly what we do, global takeovers. And it has just been amazing because you've had an opportunity to meet almost all of these ladies here. Some weren't able to join us, but just about every single person joined us that was on the back of this book. God has blessed me to work with some of the most beautiful women on the planet. Oh my gosh, like, how pretty are they? They're so gorgeous. Hello, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. I just love everybody. And y'all just stay tuned because we still have more that's going to take place with even God Blocked It. God is he is not through with this. And tonight I have Miss June E. Smith and I also have Pastor Stephany Smith that are here, and they're going to be talking to us about their chapters. So again, do me a favor, share this out. I'm seeing where the numbers are increasing, so that makes me super excited. Share this out, tag people in it. And I want to say thank you for those that I see dropping into Amazon Live. I see y'all here over on Facebook. I see you over on YouTube as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have not done it yet, do me a favor and follow me on any of these mediums, wherever you may be. Please follow, because it would just bless my life so much, so much. Listen, I want to go ahead and bring the ladies on. I want to bring them on. We have Pastor Stephany Smith and we have Miss June E. Smith. Listen, y'all, this was not planned that I was going to have the two Smiths of the group on at the exact same time. This was not planned. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even realize it until yesterday, where I was like, wait a minute, their last name is both Smith. So how are you ladies doing?
Hello. Great.
Wonderful.
I'm really excited. So I'm broadcasting from Delaware. Where am I talking to you ladies from? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
NC in the house. And Miss June, are you still in Philly?
Nope, I'm in Sicklerville, New Jersey now.
Are you in Sicklerville now?
Yes.
Far away from me.
Yes, I'm in Sicklerville.
We need to do some lunch or something, Miss June.
Yes. Let's do it.
Yeah, we gotta do a little something. Hello to everybody that's piling in. Y'all keep on coming in here. I'm really excited that you all are here. So, Pastor Stephany, and first of all, y'all, Pastor Stephany does not push her title. I push it because I just feel like we need to recognize who she is. I love the fact that, okay, first of all, how do you mind me asking how old you are?
Oh, that's fine. Okay. I am 33. I turned 33 in December of last year.
And I love it when, it's crazy that I'm saying this, like, young people. I'm 42. So it's funny because to some people, they're like, Tamika, you're still young. And then for me, like on the other side of the spectrum, everybody is young to me. So, but it's like all the ladies that are in their 30s, I like treat them like they're my babies. Like, they're just babies. And Stephany is just one of them. I just baby her. Between her and Alicia, I know I get on I know I'd probably like wear them out, but whatever. I just love y'all to smithereens. And so y'all just got to deal with it. You know what I mean? And so, but what I love is the fact that You are on fire for God. And so for me, I will always, say exactly who you are. So Pastor Stephany, talk to us about the Basic Podcast, because your podcast has really blown up over the last year. And I'm really excited about just what God is doing.
So the Basic Podcast Basic is my personal ministry that God had given me. It is for women all over the world who are on a journey to purpose, regardless of where you are in that process. We're all journeying together. The mission of it is to just encourage and empower women to be bold, to be authentic, to be secure, to be inspired, and to be courageous in Christ and in all aspects of life. So the podcast really it's a platform just to have great discussions, to talk about just some things that I've gone through and how God turned that into something beyond my own imagination. But to be able to just have conversations and even to connect with other women who are also on a journey. So I pull from the acronym from BASIC. So some topics talks about boldness, being authentic in yourself, being secure, being inspired. And so all of those things kind of tie into the conversation. And so I am excited because I will be back from a long, much needed break, I would say, because I haven't recorded any audio lately. But this month, next week, I will be live. And I am looking forward to it because I've been missing you guys.
Listen, I think this has been a season where, especially those that labor in ministry, where the Lord has really given permission to rest. Like he's really given permission to rest. And that's something that I've really been seeing across the board, from people that I really just hold dear to my heart, those that are my confidants, that, I call them my friends and my sisters, and I found that we've had to encourage each other. Like, it's okay for you to rest. Like, it's really, really okay. Miss June, how about you? Have you found yourself in a season of like, let me rest, like, let me get my bearings, let me breathe? Have you found yourself in that space too?
Yes, like right now, I'm ready to retire.
Go, girl.
And enjoy life. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, Miss June, I see you with your Purple Rain lipstick on, girl. Okay. I see you. Gold lips. Can I just say all of our lips look like really good tonight? Okay?
Right.
I'm just saying, okay. And Miss June, I know that you love, I had to put out the Purple Rain because I know that you loved Prince. Like, you love Prince.
Yes, I do.
All of that good stuff. Yes. So, Miss June, you got a lot popping off in your life too. Your movie is wrapping up. I mean, I'm excited to say that, your director is one of my good friends. And so I'm behind the scenes, and I have been on the set so much, Miss June. I've been there holding the boom mic. I've been running around with the little slate and sliding across the floor. I've been all part of the movie process. It's been a lot of fun. And I know that it's in the process of getting ready to wrap up. And I'm actually going to talk to you a little bit about your life, because I would love for you to share some of your testimony of just what your life is. But talk to me. I know that you have a third book that you're currently working on.
I'm working on a third book. I like to title my books before I write them because it gives me a focal point. So it's called Reflection of Us, the Forgotten Ones.
I love it. Because, and I'm honored, I was able to work with you on your books.
Yes, so it's coming to you. It's coming to you.
Oh, is it?
Yes, most definitely.
I promise I wasn't fishing for the
most
job.
Definitely.
No, somebody's probably like, Tamika up there trying to.
No, most definitely.
I'm trying to remember them in order, because I know you came to me for your second book, and then we went back, and you just had me kind of revamp the cover. So wait, it's Reflection. Hold on. I'm going to get them in order without looking. It's Reflection of No One.
Yes.
Then it's Reflection of Someone.
The Journey. Yes.
And then it's this one, which is Reflection of Us. You said?
Yes. Yes. The Forgotten Ones.
So good.
Yes.
And it's all going to make sense, y'all, because I'm going to give her an opportunity to kind of catch you up so you just understand what it all means. So I want to ask y'all, what made you come to God Blocked It? I mean, Pastor Stephany, you've been with me on a couple of projects now. Miss June, like I said, we've worked on your own personal projects and all that good stuff. What made you guys say, okay, let me lend my voice to God Blocked It?
Oh. Go ahead, Miss June.
Pastor Stephany, you can go.
You can go.
Yeah. Okay. So I think with me, Tamika, Dr. Hall, should I say, I just admire you, and I admire what you do, and I just wanted to be a part of it, be a part of all the authors and all the beautiful women that took part in this book. I didn't take part in the other ones you did in the She Wins series, but I wanted to be a part of it. I felt like I had a story to tell. So
absolutely. And I'm so honored that you came. Pastor Stephany, talk to me. What made you say, all right, let's jump on this one?
Well, I love you. You are a woman of great integrity, and collaborations are always good, but you can't always collaborate with everyone. And so I kept saying, okay, I know she's gonna come up with something, but I'm gonna just see if it's something that I can relate to. And God Blocked It was my sign to even just kind of push past some things that I kind of either ignored, or some things that I didn't really want to talk about, but just to be in a place to be able to say that God has blocked a lot of things in my life and have the opportunity to just share from another standpoint. I was like, okay, I got to do it. Had to pray on it, and God released me to it. But a lot of the process and God Blocked It, I was really going through some things that God really started throwing in my face. Hey, remember when I blocked this? Remember when I blocked that? So it was my point. It was my go to move forward in it. And so I'm just thankful and grateful that I was a part of the project. There have been so many great stories that has touched my life and really encouraged me. So yeah, I had to jump on it.
We really had some testimonies in this one. I mean, definitely in all of the projects, but with this one, I don't know. I mean, I think every single book, it just kind of, I don't know if people just get a little bit more transparent with every book or what have you, but we really had people go deep. And I talked about it last night, how even I went deeper. I talked about battling with suicidal thoughts at one point, and overcoming that, and just grateful that the Lord blocked that. I'm really excited that he was able to block that. And I definitely want to encourage somebody that even at your darkest hour, I promise you, beautiful things are going to grow from the ashes of what you think is over, right? I mean, I remember trying to contemplate whether or not how I was going to take my life. I was like, am I going to use a knife? I'm like, girl, you don't like pain. It's and to me, I'm saying, and I'm not laughing at it because it's funny, but I am, because it's just me. You know what I mean? It's like, are you gonna take pills? I'm like, I'm not gonna do this and know that it's coming. Like, you know what I mean? And then I remember looking out of the window and being like, okay, it's not high enough, so I'm just gonna like break something. You know what I mean? And then in that moment, I began to write a song, Lifeline. And I began to write, and I wrote my way out of suicide. And I remember just speaking to God in that space and saying, hey, listen, everybody around me is talking about the fact that they live in overflow, but I feel like I'm swimming underwater. You know what I mean? And I was able to just be open with God. And what I found in that space is that the Lord, he will really meet you where you are. And he is not angry. He's not angry with us saying, Papa, I don't understand. I don't understand. Papa, I'm frustrated. And I really came to learn that he was okay with me coming to him as his daughter. And so that was definitely something that was really powerful for me. Miss June, I want to take some time, and I do want to actually, before we do that, let me shout out some people that are here. Again, for those of you that are over on Amazon Live, thank you so much for being here. Drop me a note in Amazon Live. Let me know who you are, because it's different from the other platforms. I can't see your names until you tell me that you're there. I just want to give a quick shout out. Hello, Shantae. How you doing, my dear? So glad that you are here. We have Dr. Smith in the house, and I see this beautiful picture. This is Mama Smith, right?
Yes.
So pretty. Okay. Like, look at the smile. See the smiles? Ting. I love it. Y'all got the same smile. Yes, Dr. Smith. She said the title is so powerful within itself. I love what God is just doing. I want to say hello to Prophet Elisa. She said, that's me, no pain. She's like, no, I would never want to go through the pain of that. We have Miss Shelby O'Reilly in the house. She said, hey, June.
That's my nephew.
Who's that?
That's my nephew.
Oh, that's your nephew. Hey, nephew. Nephew said, hey, June. We have Tony in the house. He said, hey, hi, Miss June. Hello, hello, hello to you. We have Miss Danae hanging out. She says, that's cool, Miss June. I think she was talking about the movie piece. We have Dr. Davita in the house. Hi, Dr. Davita. Thank you for hanging out with us. Appreciate your life, my dear. We have Mercy hanging out. Mercy, thank you for being here with us. Sabrina Swain in the house. And she said, beautiful ladies, listen, you will never go wrong telling us that we're pretty. I'm just saying.
That's
saying.
my daughter. That's my daughter.
Hi, daughter. Listen, I gotta meet the family. I've been a part. I'm your auntie. I've been a part of y'all's lives for the past couple of years, and I haven't met you yet, right? I'm either like the auntie or I'm like a distant cousin, whatever you want to call me, Ms. Joe. We'll pick one.
Yes.
But I need to meet everybody. Let's see here. We have Apostle Tanya Tanika hanging out with us today. Hi, Apostle. Y'all, Apostle is my mentor. Every mentor needs a mentor, and she puts up with me and my silliness, and actually her silly matches my silly, and that's probably why the Lord sent her to me to be to be my mentor and to tell me who I was. Okay, hello. She told me who I was, and I did not even believe it, but she did. Latanique, how do I say it? Did I say it right?
Yeah, Latoya. Yeah,
Latoya.
that's just that's just her handle, I think, on Facebook.
Thank the Lord, because I was like, listen, I get all the names. I get the names well, and I usually pride myself on being able to pronounce names well. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna tell you though, Miss June, when I worked in Philly, I was teaching in Philly, I couldn't pronounce a lot of the names of my students, and I was like. And somebody's going to probably be offended. You don't be offended. But I remember one day being like, Tamika, you're Black. You should know how to pronounce these names. I didn't know some of the names. Like, I just didn't know them.
Yeah,
so, okay, Latoya, hey, boo. I can say Latoya. I got you. Okay, because I was like, come on, Meek. You can say this name. Maria's in the house. Hey, Maria. And she said we're beautiful, too. Stop it. Keep going. We love it. Joanna, thank you for hanging out with us. Miss Joanna, thank you so much for being with us on tonight.
That's my cousin.
Oh, that's your cousin. Hey, cousin. Yeah. We have Sandra McCrae hanging out with us on this evening. And we are so glad that you all are here. You have given us the glad glass. Oh, Latonique. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Toya.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes, Miss Joanna did. She just said, "Hey, cuz." So, Miss June, I want to take a couple minutes and I want to talk to you. So, we just mentioned your books. For everybody that's waiting on Pastor Stephany, we just put her in the green room. Y'all, one day I'm gonna have a full studio and I'm gonna have a green room where they're gonna have some good eats back there. But until then, just eat off the fattened calf in my digital green room. And we're just going to have a good time and have some Jesus joy out here. So, Miss June, we were talking about your books.
Yes.
And you really do have a very interesting life and testimony. As a matter of fact, we met at somebody else's book signing, and right on the spot, I was like, I got to interview you. I was like, I need you, at that time, I was running my radio station. And I was like, I have to interview you like right now. Yes. And I just love the fact that it's been a few years and we've just maintained our relationship over the years. But give us, tell everybody, just like give them some background on who you are, because I also think it's going to even help when we are talking about your chapter, which is called The Visitor. But talk to us about your upbringing.
So I grew up in South Philadelphia. First of all, I remember rewind a little bit. I was given away at birth, and a couple took me and raised me, and just my life, growing up at that time. I I refer to my dad in my first book, The Reflection of No One, as the good daddy and the bad daddy, because he was a good guy. He taught me a lot. He was I always say he was a philosopher in his own way. He would say things like, "Oh, you make your bed hard, you lay hard." He would tell me I didn't have no intestinal fortitude, and I would say, "Well, what's that?" And he would be like, "You have no gut," and things like that. And my mom, on the other hand, she was pretty much the homemaker. They ran a speakeasy. So so I always
I
say,
remember when you first told me that, I was like, what? You
yeah,
grew up in a real life speakeasy? Like, I was
yeah.
like, shut up. Yeah, yeah.
They ran a speakeasy. She wrote numbers, she had bookies and so they were good parents though, they took care of me. I think she lived in a lot of fear because I was just given to them. So I think her fear came in maybe the biological mother trying to come back to get me. So they kept me kind of hidden. You know what I mean? I couldn't do nothing. I had everything in a house that a child could want. So I didn't have to go outside for anything. But I went to school, and that was another thing. I was one name at home, but in school I was another name. So that came from them not, legally adopting me. They were older parents, so I guess they feared that maybe the authorities would take me because of their age, so they just kept everything the same. So when I would say, well, why do I have two names? They would say, oh, you're special, or, something like that. So at home, I was June, but in school, I was Gail. So, it was kind of confusing. But when you look back, Dr. Hall, kids don't ask questions when they have love. Mm-hmm. So I never wonder why I look different, because I look like nobody in my family.
Right.
But I think I need to say that my biological mother was Italian and my dad was African American, Black. So I'm a little nervous. So please forgive me.
You don't have to be nervous. Not at all.
I know. But so life for me growing up was kind of I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in with this side. I didn't fit in with that side. So I just went with the flow. And yeah.
And Miss June, what's really interesting, and folks, of course, you're definitely going to want to go and actually grab her books in addition to getting God Blocked It from her. I mean, hello. What's interesting, like you said, is you were just given to your mother. Your mother, yes. I mean, because that's who you call mommy. Like that was your mom, but your biological mother gave birth to you and then handed her to your mom, and because your mom worked in that hospital.
No, she didn't work. She had a friend. She had a friend in there that was having a baby at the time.
Okay.
And this is the story I was told, which now, as I've been doing a lot of research, I think it's a little more to it than meets the eye. But everything will come full circle sooner or later. But she had a friend in the hospital. Well, they had two children. So my sister, which was older than me, so it was more like an aunt and uncle than sister and brother, because they were I think my parents was probably in their late 50s when they got me. So their children were in their 30s, and so my sister's friend was having a baby. The story I was told is that her roommate was a white woman. So every time my mom would go visit, my sister's friend, she would always see her crying, and the nurses would bring me to her, and she would turn her head. No, I don't want to see her. Take her away. And my mom thought something was wrong. So my sister's friend said to her, no, she has a black baby and she can't take it home. So my mom started talking to her, and one thing led to another, and she handed me over. 6 days old.
6 days old. And
Mhm.
and of course, you know, because tonight is not fully about that, you
No, it's
came to
not.
discover through through like a DNA test,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
came to discover some of your family, and I had the opportunity to talk to Miss Sigrid, who
Right.
is your sister,
Right.
and y'all literally grew up in Philadelphia, like streets
Right.
over,
Streets over. On
and
one,
never and didn't know each other until how old were y'all again?
well, we met in 2018.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, we were older, and but it's almost like we just never been apart. It's
Yeah,
the weirdest
you
thing.
would never know that it even when I interviewed the both of you, back in 2020, you would never
Mhm.
know that it was a new relationship. And so let's talk about your chapter. And oh, well, really quickly, I everybody make sure that you do go and you grab Miss June's, grab her other book, okay, as well. This is the book I had the opportunity where she's beginning to really learn, who she is, and she talks about how she discovers finding out exactly who she is, and
Mhm.
who her family was and all of that stuff. And I mean, the story it's just an incredible incredible story.
Mhm.
And I know y'all have been interviewed. Y'all were like on, it was like on PBS, and I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
yeah, y'all, it's just,
Documentaries and all
yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm so glad that you talked to little old me.
Oh
That's
yeah.
been all over the
No, no,
place.
no.
Yes, you just
It's
blessed me. You just talked to little old me. And so here we are, in this book, God blocked it. Your chapter is called The Visitor. And so I want to read just a snippet of that,
Mhm.
for everyone, and then we'll go ahead and continue. So you
Mhm.
say in your chapter, my mother's death and feelings of rejection contributed to depression gearing its evil head more consistently in my life. As a
Mhm.
single mother of three children, giving up wasn't an option. I would tell
Mhm.
myself every day that I had to keep going. If it's not for me, for my kids, I knew they needed me, and so I needed them. Every day was a struggle for me to get out of bed. The doctors were no help, at least not for what I needed. I sought
Mhm.
help from my doctor day in and day out. He counseled me, put me on antidepressants, and tried to remedy my feeling of being unloved and unwanted. Nothing seemed to take me out of the darkness I was feeling. I just wanted rest. I just wanted rest. Talk to us about what moment in time were you sharing with us? And was this your I hate to call her your adoptive mother, but was this the adoptive mom, or was this after you found out that the biological mother had passed?
No, this was my adoptive mom.
Okay.
She died when I was 18. And my dad, I guess I was about 21 maybe or so when he passed away. So it and my sister and my brother had died as well. So it made me feel alone. I mean, I had family. Definitely had family that was there for me. Um, but I just had an identity thing going on with me.
Hmm.
Trying to figure out who I was, where I belong. And all through my life, I think I looked for love in all the wrong places, abusive relationships and, things like that. So I was in a dark space for a long time.
And actually, weren't you, and I'm kind of going back to your other books here, but weren't you 16 when it all started to come out that you were indeed adopted?
I didn't find out till I was 16.
Yeah, you didn't find out till you were
Yeah,
16, and then mommy passed away when you
right.
were 18.
When I was 18.
And I know I remember
Yeah.
you trying to get answers. You talk about that in your books where you were trying to get answers, and I mean, because even now you're still searching for some of those answers, and so it makes sense that
Right.
you were in that dark space. How did you
Mm.
begin to climb out of the depression and and battling the rejection? How did you begin to come out of that?
Well, the depression stayed a long time, a long time. I can honestly say probably within the last 10 years that I'm not in that space no more,
Oh,
you
good.
know. Um, but it lasted long from panic attacks to, all kind of things. Life was hard, struggles, and I just decided one day this is it. I just woke up with that. I know I put my kids through so much with my moods and being depressed. My poor son, I ran him back and forth to the hospital with me all the time and trying to seek help, but yeah.
And one day you woke up and you said, I'm not going to live like this anymore.
One day I woke up, I was in my early 40s, and I said, this is it. And I got up, and I remember I had said, okay, I'm going to write letters to my children. And I took out paper because my oldest daughter was home from college at this time. She lived on campus, and she came home for spring break. So she was asleep. So I said, okay, this is it. I won't lay long because she's home. My youngest daughter was in school. She probably was about 14 at that time. And I just decided to do it. And I decided to take a knife, like you were saying, and I was going to slice my jugular. And when you get into that space, it's like nothing can take that away.
Mm-hmm.
You so determined to do it. So, and I was in it. I was in that space. Yeah. And it was just feeling unloved, unwanted. I never felt pretty. Tamika, I would go sometime to the mirror and look at myself and say, look how ugly you are. You just ugly. Things like that. And yeah, just never felt good enough.
And, and it's amazing because there's a whole lot for us to even unpack right there. But even if we kind of work our way backward, it's what you say to yourself, right? It's amazing that what we say to ourselves,
yes,
really, I know that outside sources impact us, but what we say to ourselves really is the driving force for what we do. And I talked last night, because when people get to the place where they're done and they don't really see a way out, people who have never felt that way will say things like, well, you're just so selfish to ever do that. Why would you ever do that? But I can attest to it when you first of all, you're not in your right headspace. Like, let's just be honest. You know what I mean? Because it is not natural to want to take yourself out of here. It's not.
No.
It's not.
And I knew it was wrong. I knew it was a sin. I knew it, but I had no control over what I was feeling. I just felt as though God would forgive me. And I would ask for forgiveness before I do it. You know what I mean? So that was my mindset. So.
And the thing is, when you really do feel like when you're in this space and you feel like, okay, there's really nothing else I can do, you're not thinking rationally.
Right. No, you're not.
You're not thinking rationally. And for you to go to the mirror and to say to yourself, you are not pretty. For me, I think you are so beautiful. And I'm not just saying that. I really, really do.
Thank you.
I've always I love your style. I mean, I just like you're just unapologetically you. And I mean, obviously I know you from within those last 10 years where you made a shift in your life. But I'm pretty sure it was probably even difficult with the fact that you did grow up so differently. I mean, because your parents, they were more brown skinned, right?
Yeah. I look like nobody that in my family, no. And I never even thought twice about it until I was told. And so, and then it kind of made sense, like, oh, okay, now I know why I like this kind of music, or now I know why I act this way, or, so it kind of start making sense to me.
Yeah.
But I went through a terrible identity crisis, trying to find myself. I punked out and went to see Purple Rain, and oh my God, that was it. The hair became purple, and
I want purple.
All kind of stuff.
So, Miss June, what made you say, I'm not going to go through with it? Take us back to that day. You've got it planned out. You're like, listen, baby girl is asleep. She probably won't even see this. She's gonna wake up and go on about
Right,
her day. What
right.
made you say, yeah, no, we're not gonna do this?
So that particular day, like I said, I was writing letters and I ran out of some writing paper. So I go to my bedroom and I go up in the closet and for more paper. And I was going to cut my jugular. You know, I had the knife on the coffee table and everything. And
Wow.
when I went up to the closet to get the paper, a bottle of pills fell down.
Mm.
And when I picked them up, I said, "Oh, okay, Satan, you're making it easy." And
Clearly.
I knew it was him. I knew it. But I couldn't help it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's a spiritual thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and they were Tylenol 3s with codeine. So I'm like, wow, I could take these and just sleep right on the way. And I cried. I sat on the couch. I cried. I know I didn't really want to do it, but I did want to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a battle in my head. And so I wound up taking a couple of pills out the bottle, hesitating, put it in my mouth, and I heard this little tap, just a little tap. And I'm like, so I didn't really pay it no mind. It then I'm continue to write and I'm continue to put pill by pill in my mouth, and the tapping gets a little louder. And then it really got very loud. And I realized somebody's knocking at my door. So my first thought was I didn't want them to wake my daughter up, because I wanted her to sleep. And my youngest daughter was in school. So I'm like, and I just moved to Sicklerville at that time. This is my second go round with Sicklerville. And I moved to Sicklerville at that time, and I'm like, well, I really don't know nobody around here too much. So I go to open the door, and I didn't see nobody at first when I looked out the window. But then when I opened the door, I seen this little kid standing on my doorstep. And I mean, tears flowing down my face, and she looked like she was crying. So I looked at her. I said, "Can I help you?" And her exact words, I will never forget this. Her exact words was, she had a country accent, a Southern accent. And she said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I don't know why I'm here, but God placed me here. I need to pray." And I always tell people, it was almost like something supernaturally just picked me up and let this kid, who I later realized was a woman, into my home. I didn't fear that somebody was behind her getting ready to rob me. None of that was in my mind. It was just supernatural. And she came in. By this time, my daughter wakes up and she comes out. God is awesome. When I think about, she comes out and she looks at me and she looks at the table and she's like, "What's going on?" And I'm really a little woozy now because I have these pills in me. And she looked at the lady, and she looked at me, and I said, she wants to pray. So my daughter was like, "Oh, okay." So we prayed. Dr. Hall, after we prayed, she hugged me. And I will never forget, she said to me in my ear, "Know that he is and always will be." She said, "It's not time yet." I will never forget that as long as I live. And she left. She told me night. She never asked my name, nothing. She left. So I sat down on the couch. I felt like something just like lifted from me. And I sat down on the couch, and I told my daughter, I said, "Go see which way she went." Because for some reason, I felt that she was an angel.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched my daughter run from one end of my house to the other end of my house. And she came and she said, she's not out there. I said, don't worry about it. She's not. Yeah.
Wow.
So I say God is awesome because telling that story, some people would look at me like, this girl done lost her mind. So, you know what I mean? But he's so awesome. He allowed my daughter to see her. And so, I mean, not that he needs to prove himself, but that was proof for me when people would doubt that this happened.
But see, what I love about God is he is nothing like us, where he will prove himself over and over and over and over and over again. And that is so awesome that your daughter was there. Like you said, to witness it for you so that you couldn't say, well, maybe it was the codeine.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Danae says, wow, wow, wow. Tony says, your guardian angel. Joanna says, that is an amazing story every time I hear it. Mercy says, yes. Look, I knew everybody was just mesmerized by the story because all of us were drawn in like this. And I'm going to bring Pastor Stephany on because she and I both at one point were like this on the screen. Dr. Smith says, God blocked the assignment of the enemy. If no one caught how real God is, that testimony alone, because again, it's like you said, okay, I didn't want to do what I planned.
Yes.
And if y'all think that are watching that the enemy does not strategize on how to get you, he said, okay, you don't really want to do this. I'm going to make sure that some pills fall out of this closet. If y'all really think, and for those who are sitting over here and you think that you're not valuable, the fact that the enemy made it a point that, okay, listen, you don't want to do it that way, I'm going to give you the pills. And the fact that the Lord sent, whether it was an angel or it was a real person, I believe it was an angel though, but the Lord sent someone to your home to pray. If you don't think that you're important to God, he will stop time to come and see about you. My God.
Yes.
Jesus. Prophet Lisa said, she said, I'm over here messed up.
So here's the thing with it. I had missed a lot of time from work at that time because of just being depressed, panic attacks. My youngest daughter was diagnosed with lupus at 12. So that took a lot of my energy. And she had epileptic seizures along with it. So after she left, I got up the next day, a couple of days later, and I went to work. I was working at a university in Philly. And I had so many emails when I went into my office. And my coworker upstairs comes down. Oh, my God, you okay? You know, blah, blah, blah. So she's sitting there with me. I'm checking my emails while she's talking. I get this email from this person I don't know. So I open the email. It says, good morning, June. It was nice meeting you yesterday. I was like, oh, my God, Debbie, look. And Debbie was like, June, you scare me. I said, no, you see it. I never told her my name, nothing. She says, she sent some scriptures with it. And then at the end, she said it again. Know that he is and always will be. She said, and I look forward to meeting you one day in that big family reunion in the sky. She said, be blessed. Yes.
Never sent a name?
Paula. So we got so concerned, me and my coworker, we decided to see where the email came from. And we found out it came from a Christian college in Georgia. Can't remember the name. This was about 20 something years ago. And So by us working at a university, we used our clout, so to speak, and called this university.
Yeah.
And we, I told the lady I'm from the missions department at LaSalle University, and I'm calling about a prospective student. She said, "Okay, what's her name?" And she gave me the name. I mean, I gave her the name, and she told me, "Hold on." She comes back. She said, "Is this a joke?" I said, "No, ma'am." I said, I'm calling from LaSalle, and she had put application in and I was telling the fib. I asked God to forgive me.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know who this was.
Right. He forgave you, girl.
Yeah. She said, I shouldn't tell you this, but she passed away a couple days ago. Yeah. And my girlfriend, again, God allowed somebody to be there to hear that.
Miss June has me messed up tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. True story. True story. Yeah.
I don't even
So
know
now I'm
what to
buying books on angels. I want to learn about angels. I want to know all about them. So, yeah.
Okay, so Miss June just shut down the whole night.
I'm sorry.
So your daughter, so Sabrina says, "Forgive her, Lord." Look. Wow. Y'all, we serve a great God.
Yeah,
That's all I can say is that we serve a great God.
And I didn't know then why. I didn't know the plans, but my plans always say, you don't have to know your purpose at a young age. It could come about any time. And I know why he blocked that suicidal attempt, because I had to write.
Yeah.
I had to write my story. I had to tell it. I had to find my siblings. I had to.
Yeah, because over the years you've found, I forget how many has it been so far that you found, and I would never disrespect your biological mother, but she was Italian. She had an Italian husband, I believe, right?
She had a German husband. Yeah.
Okay, so she had this German husband.
Yeah.
And she clearly loved chocolate men, and she was
clearly love them.
And she was out here having babies, and when the babies came out too dark, she gave them away.
Yeah.
Y'all, this is like a real, like when we talk about feeling rejected, I have to the enemy had it out for you and your your siblings from the beginning, that you were born into rejection, right? And so a lot of times we have to see, and I'm pointing this out for those who you may have, it may not necessarily be this story, because everybody does not necessarily have your testimony of that. But for those that sometimes that you were born into a rejected state, you were born into a rejected place. When you learn that, you begin to pray against that thing and break that thing, because you can break that, right? The enemy had a plan from the beginning, right?
Yes.
Had a plan from the beginning. And so there are a lot of y'all that you found.
So I found out it was 5 of us, with Sigrid being the oldest. And Sigrid, actually, she tried to keep her and pass her off. And then it just came to the husband's attention that, this child's black. Get rid of her. And she did. Then she had a set of twins, which I just found about 7 months ago, a brother and a sister. So I haven't met them yet, but we talk every day. Yes. It's a set of twins. My brother is, he's developmentally delayed, but they're a year older than me. And I look forward to meeting them. And then I had another brother that she had given away, and he passed away at 47, I believe, 47 or 48. So I didn't get a chance to meet him.
And he passed away thinking that his whole family had died in a crash or something, right?
Well, he was in an orphanage. They all were in orphanages. And
Wow.
so they told him all his family died and he was the only survivor. So he never even knew he had siblings. And they probably were in the same orphanage and walked past each other every day and didn't even know it. And that's why I'm writing my third book, because I feel like I owe them that. I feel like their story needs to be told, from Freddie to Ann to Tommy and then Sigrid. So, yeah, I'm sorry you took Pastor Stephany out. I'm so sorry.
Oh no. I just was, because I was just sitting here because my intention was to just bring her in for a minute and pop her back out.
I'm sorry.
And then no, because listen, Pastor Stephany has this little baby dog, right? And the dog loves getting her attention. So I was like, in case who is it, Bella? I'm like, in case she comes in there and wants to like talk to her mama, I wanted her to have an opportunity to kiss her up and all that stuff. Because listen, the baby comes in there all the time. Like,
Bella.
Wow. I do want to ask you, before we do continue to move forward, how did you and all the children, how did you begin to repair things with all of the babies? Like I know you mentioned with your son and all that stuff, but you all have a good relationship. So for somebody who has dealt with things where they're kind of like, I will say this, for example, I had some rough years, and my children, that's something I battle with sometimes too, is I'm like, I wish that life was different for them, that I would have been able to handle life differently for them. And I remember I had to be intentional about making sure that we were good, that our relationship was good, and that they could talk to me. So what did you begin to do to make sure that y'all were good?
It's the way I raised them. I raised them up to, look out for each other. I was very strict, number one. Oh my God. I did what my mom and dad did to me. Even though you say you're not, but you do.
It's in you.
And yeah. You know what I mean? You do. And I was very strict, and it was a thing with them. It was, don't do as I do, you do as I say. And and they was my only blood I knew at that time. So my life was them. I lived my life for them. I prioritized them. They were, and I had this mindset that I was going to be better than her. I would never do to my kids what she did to us. So that kept the drive in me to try to be a good mother. I just recently actually had a conversation with my son, and I apologized to him because he was my oldest. And I put so much on him, and he was my right hand and my left hand. I don't know what I would have done without him. And we are very close, my kids, and I love them, and I know they love me, and I have 8 grandkids. So, just keeping them grounded in God, that I kept them in church, and sometimes I didn't even feel like going, but I had people to take them. I made sure they went. It was hard.
Yeah, but you did what I had to do. I've apologized to them for, for me, for me in my situation, I didn't know that they heard the fighting, the arguing, and I'm sorry, I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you took on things. I didn't know that you were afraid for your mama. Like and I had to apologize and be open to them saying, one of my children had said one time, she was like, I didn't like you back then.
Yeah.
And I had to let her, you can say that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get it,
sure,
you
sure,
know?
sure.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, they're good kids, and I thank God for them. You know, he blessed me with them, and they're good kids. I couldn't ask for better children. You know, responsible adults.
I love it. I love it. And Miss June, I love you sharing your story with us. Please, like, just keep hanging out with us. Um,
Yes.
Pastor Stephany, thoughts? Like, girl.
That was, you have a very powerful testimony. And just to just hear your story, because a lot of times we encounter angels and we never know that we do. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's a topic that a lot of people really don't talk about because they don't think it's real. So I've
Yeah.
encountered angels. I've encountered people who no one's never even heard of. So it's just like just amazed at how strong you are, and you've
Mm,
endured so much, and for just to just be here to be able to just share your story is powerful. Like
thank you.
you're an amazing woman. I've never met
Thank
you.
you.
This is our first time, meeting each
Right.
other, but
Right.
it's just continue to just share your story. There's a
Thank
lot of things that a lot of people are afraid to even talk about that they've gone through in their lives, especially family.
Yes.
And to be able to just, not knock
Mm-hmm.
people down, or but to be able
Mm-hmm.
to share your experience, because it's needed. It really is. And I know
Thank
that
you. Thank
you
you.
I know it probably took great courage and faith to even, talk that out.
Yeah. In my first book, I didn't I let a lot out in my first book, and some of it probably shocked my children. But I think that's what made it go over so well, because I did let out some things. I had people calling me and saying to me, "Oh my God, I went through the same thing. I just didn't know how to say it or how to tell nobody." But I put my life out there. I just put it out there. I just felt like people need to know what it feels like to be biracial, what it feels like to be abandoned, um, and struggling with children and trying to make the best out your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So,
definitely touched me. Yeah, it's
yeah, thank you, Pastor Stephany.
you're
Thank you.
welcome. Okay.
Y'all listen, okay? Thank you for hanging out with me because
Hmm.
my computer decided to shut its way all the way down a
I
couple
can
of
tell.
times just now. And I'm sitting here like, I, I don't know if y'all were able to see each other during that time, but whatever you
we
did,
were.
I
We
have a
were.
feeling. So,
Yeah.
Pastor Stephanie, did you kind of take over and start asking questions or something?
Just a little, just a little, just talking, just a little bit, just about
Yeah,
the
Thank
we were
you.
too
story.
I,
fat.
I'm sitting here going, what just happened? Like, it completely shut down.
Man,
I start rebuking stuff. I don't play with that. You started
Hmm.
talking about the angels and it just shut down. And I'm like, I just sat here for a second. And it's amazing because y'all in the past, I would have been spazzing out. I would have been over here crying and all kinds of stuff. And I just was kind of like,
Like,
I'm like,
devil, you a liar. You going
I was like, I rebuke you. And then it came back up. I'm like,
exactly
like, what is really, really
right.
going on? Thank you so much for y'all just kind of making that conversation. I appreciate
Hmm.
that. Maria says, I appreciate your transparency. Transparency is a gift. Um, Maria also said, I apologize to my babies often. We can't be afraid to apologize to our children. We really can't be afraid
Yeah.
of that. Mercedes says, we love you, Aunt Junie. So I want to make sure that
Oh,
we
not
were able to
Mercedes.
say that. Miss Vera says, good evening. Hi, Miss Vera. How are you? We have Miss Cheryl who
Mhm.
says, thanks for sharing the story with us. And Prophet Elisa, she's right there. She said, the devil's mad about your testimony. I'm in agreement
Mhm.
with that because my
Mhm.
computer has never just shut down like that. And then it tried to say, you had an error. If you don't get your life together and come up under
Right.
submission, get yourself together. So I'm so glad that y'all were able to just roll
Hmm.
with it. And what was really interesting, Miss June, I'm gonna put you back in the green room, and I'm gonna talk
Okay.
to Pastor Stephany for a little bit. It's amazing because both of you in your stories, you really do speak to the rejection and what that does and how you're able to move forward. And so, Pastor Stephany, in your chapter, you call it the secured yes, like the secured yes. And just like with Miss June, I want to take a moment and I want to read a snippet from your chapter really fast. So you say, I remember the day I fully surrendered my will, life, and yes to God. It was one of the most peaceful yet intimidating things I had ever done. I battled with many insecurities and had a great level of doubt when it came to walking in my purpose and assignment boldly and confidently. I remember the enemy telling me constantly that I would never amount to what God says or think about me and what he would do through me. I remember the constant warfare and mental wars I had endured before really committing to the yes. So I was so ready to give to God. I was so ready to give to God. Talk to us about the secured yes. What did it take for you to say, okay, God, I'm going to say yes, and to boldly declare that and truly begin walking in the yes?
Whew. I would say, you know how sometimes we can initially say yes to God. We can be so excited that very first time that we say yes to God. But a lot of times we don't, I would say we don't necessarily mean it. Like I meant it from the bottom of my heart, but everything that came with the yes, the commitment, the discipline, the
Mm,
surrendering, the being bold, the not being fearful, it's like all of those things I didn't necessarily say yes to. It's like I grabbed that and attached it to my yes. And so it kind of gave me a whole lot of unnecessary warfare.
mm,
um a lot of times it came with just using my voice. And so when it came to that, yes, I knew that I had to use my voice, but I struggle with, excuse me, Bella is in the way. I
we're just gonna have
struggle.
to get on camera.
She gonna be up here soon. I struggle with just a lot of doubt. I would say, okay, God, I'm gonna do this and I'm ready for everything that you've called me to do. You know, sometimes when God gives you a glimpse of what he's going to do in your life, what he's going
Mm,
to use you for, the influence, the platforms, it kind of like intimidated me. And sometimes, you know, people will be intimidated of other people, but I've never been intimidated of other people. I was intimidated of Stephany Smith. I became like, ooh, like, oh my gosh, like, God, you really want to do this through me? Or you sure? And it was like when I allowed those thoughts to kind of just rest on the inside of me, the enemy would just play against it. It was just like, oh, well, why would you even do this for God? And God haven't even answered your prayers. You
mm,
fasting and praying for this, but you want God, you think God's gonna use you in this area to help people, or you think he's going to use you, or you're worthless, and I don't know why you think, you know, that if you serve God that, you know, your life will be better. It was just so many things that the enemy would just slap me with. And it was just like, you know what, I have to take a step of faith, because I trust God more than I would trust any lie that came from the enemy. And it really took faith. And I would say, even after the first year of saying yes to God, I knew that there were other things that I was going to have to step into. There were things that I knew I was going to have to just really be committed to. Lifestyle, you know, whether it was physical, mental, spiritual, all of that, I had to commit to that, because that is also attached to my yes to God. You know, I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. I couldn't live any kind of way. I couldn't be around certain crowds. And so when I allowed Stephany what Stephany wanted, it was like I allowed my yes to also be attached to the wrong people, the wrong
Mm.
things, the wrong journeys, not letting the past go. It was like a lot of these different things were attached to me, but I'm saying yes to God, but I still wanted to hold on to certain things. And so I would say between last year was a year where it was just like everything was a visual before me.
Mm.
Everything that I had went through, everything that I had journeyed through, the people that I were connected to, the people who I called friends, the people who spoke into my life, but didn't necessarily believe that I would even amount to the things that they even said, that God said, you know,
Uh-oh.
that told them in regards to me. It was just like God just started putting these things in my face, and I had to literally walk through the process, walk through the journey with tearing the things down, tearing down the lies, being able to see through people, and
Let me
know
ask.
that,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
know
Go ahead. No,
oh
finish your
and
thought.
know that, it's not what it is. So I had to kind of just free myself from some things so that I can fully just embrace the yes and understand what saying yes to God really meant.
I wanted to ask you because that was powerful that you said, a lot of people are intimidated by other people. You were intimidated by Stephany Smith. Is it because you didn't feel like you were good enough to fill the shoes that, to fill this picture that God said that you were? You just didn't feel you were good enough? Or why were you intimidated by you?
I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't in a certain place in my life where I could really be used to that capacity. And
Mm.
it was just like, earlier we were talking about procrastination. There were some things that I dealt with that wasn't necessarily, job related or anything related, but it was mainly my spiritual walk with God. It mainly was connected to my yes. And so a lot of things that God told me to push through or to do or to walk in, even if it was preaching or, whatever it was that I kind of procrastinated on, it was just like, I don't think I'm good enough for this, or I don't think
Mm.
what I have to say will mean anything or will touch anyone. Or it was just like those different things that I started to kind of juggle with. And then it was just like, well, why not you, Stephany? Like I've chosen you. So why are you feeling the total opposite of what I know, about you? It was just like a overwhelming emotion that I struggled with. And I had to get to that place where it was just like, okay, I can't be talking to people about boldness. I can't be talking to people about being bold for Christ and living this life authentically. I wouldn't be my authentic self if I allowed the enemy to tell me you're not good enough, because I am good enough, or I am worthy of what God has called me to do. But I had to really just kind of believe it without seeing those things. Sometimes people know that, or God can show you something, but you feel like you got to have it in order to feel validated. And it was just like I had to get to a place in my life where, regardless whether you do this in my life or not, I'm going to
Mm.
still move. I'm going to still serve you, and I'm going to still do what you called me to do. So that was like a struggle that I kind of dealt with, and then it kind of started targeting emotions.
Let's talk about when you're saying yes. Did you when you gave your full yes, when you felt very secured in your yes and you walked in it boldly, did this come before or after you started Basic, like the ministry of Basic? Because you talked about Basic earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just a podcast. Like it's a movement. It's literally more than that. And I
Yeah.
think I wrote it down correctly. You said it's bold, authentic, secure, inspired. I probably wrote it wrong, didn't I?
Courageous, but I have
Ah,
confident.
ah,
Confident has definitely kind of been. I think I'm eventually going to switch that. See, um, between chosen or
courageous
confident.
is dope too, though. Like
Yeah, I love
courageous,
it all.
courageous is really good. I was like, I'm not gonna ask her what this C means. I'm gonna type it out because I think it's confident. You see what you do when you lean to your own understanding.
Yes,
Hello,
yes,
like,
yes.
but did Basic come before or after the secured yes? Because you clearly there was a yes, but was
Mhm.
it before or after the secured one?
It was before. So basic came before the secured yes. And I think sometime last year it was, I have shared before about basic and kind of had touched on the subtopics of bold, being authentic, and being inspired. But I kind of took my time on the secure part. Not intentionally, but I had took like a year off, just doing the audio podcast and not really sure what I was going to do, how God wanted to work it. But I kept secured because before the end of last year, I was pushing boldness. And it was like, okay, I'm going to keep talking about boldness. But then it was just like, like secure kept popping up. And I'm like, okay, I know this is a part of, but it was just really just the secured yes. We're talking about living a life for Christ and, living a purpose-filled life in him. And it was just like throughout the whole last year, I started just talking to people that I don't normally have conversations with. And they was just sharing about, I'm kind of questioning my assignment, or I'm kind of questioning the process. God called me into ministry, but now I feel like I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do because how things are going on doesn't make sense. Or I feel like I'm called here. Or I feel like it was just so many things. And I'm like, this is the same thing that I'm dealing with. And it was just like, okay, God, I know you've called me here, but am I in the right place? It's like after a while, I was like, what are you about to do with this? I told you yes, but what is it? And it was like, you're not that secure in what you said to me. And if my promises are secure, if my purpose in your life is already secure, then there's no need for you to even doubt what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. But it was just more so of, okay, your yes needs to be secured. And it took a lot of praying and fasting because that's really what kind of pulled me out of that emotional roller coaster that I was in. And not really knowing what the issue was, because I started to be moody. It was just like, oh my gosh.
That transitional place.
Like, God, you told me to do this. I've done everything that you've told me to do. I'm trying to live my life right. I haven't gone off the course. I've been, I'm doing this. And it's just like, what's next? And so after a while, it was just like, I need you to be secure in the place where I have you, whether it's just this neutral place, but I need you to be secure in that. And after a while, I was like, I was dealing with insecurities. I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I don't need to be a minister. I don't need to do this. I don't feel secure enough. I'm insecure. People might not like me. They might not want to hear. It's just like the enemy started just like, girl, why are you even saying that? Don't nobody want to hear that. Or, it was just reckless to the point where it was just like, you know what? I don't even know why I'm tripping because I'm already secured. Like my life, God's will and purpose. If I'm on this journey with God, I know that I'm secured. I know that I'm safe. And so it was just like, I had to kind of trust that process.
So when we're even talking about the journey, and I hope I can even get my question out right, because I'm sitting here trying to formulate the question. What I love and what I have found even in my own life is that God will grace us to begin walking in ministry, to launch in ministry, and to launch different things. And then we will find that we will go through transition. And it oftentimes it either shifts a little bit, it might shift a lot. And it kind of builds upon what you've already had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like along this journey with where you are now, where you said, okay, listen, I started this thing and then, I'm in this place, I'm going through this place, and then the Lord is talking to me. Do you feel like you should have waited to start ministry, or are you happy with the process and the journey of starting it and it developing into what it is now? Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm
say, listen, I have to, because y'all listen, I didn't even say Pastor Stephany, y'all, she was all up at the Super Bowl interviewing people. So I got to make sure that my interview skills are tight because Pastor Stephany was up at the Super Bowl, y'all. Okay. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah, I would say that I am glad that I did not wait. I feel like if I waited, my life would be hell. I feel like I would have repeated several cycles
Mm.
over again until I said, okay, I'm going to do it. But the thing was with saying it, and why I say that I'm glad that, you know, I went on and said yes, is because of what I had went through before. And so a lot of times when people, they think that when you say yes to God, yes, it's the best. Like I said, it was the most peaceful yet scariest kind of thing to do, but I would choose that over the life that I was living because
Mm.
of my disobedience. So it seemed like my life got better because I obeyed and I
Uh-oh.
gave God my yes, but I still had to deal with certain things in the process. And what I love about this process even now is that I'm kind of tackling things that I didn't know that I was dealing with, like even emotionally. So it has been a learning, I would say a learning war zone for me, but I'm just appreciative because I'm now in a headspace and mature spiritually enough to say, okay, God, I know that you have me here and I know that the outcome is going to be greater, but I am now willing to sit at your feet and allow you to move however you want to move in my life without any complaints. So it's really just been, I'm glad that I said yes, because life before the yes, it was very toxic. It was toxic. It wasn't of God. I was very miserable. You know, struggle with low self-esteem. Even then, you know, like I could have a smile on my face, but I didn't have any joy, you know, like I was doing whatever I wanted to do. And
Yep.
without
Yeah.
my yes to God and not having God in that journey with me, I wasn't secure, so I wasn't safe. So it was like anything could have happened to me, you know, I could have gone off and done God knows what. But to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna trust God and I'm gonna obey him because I know regardless whether I know the beginning to the end, I know that I'm safe there and I know that I'll be secure. So I'm glad that I said yes now.
And I'm gonna tell you because I'm definitely like a big sister to you. I'm like way older than you are. You know what I mean? But I know what it's like to go through that process of like, that there's a call on your life, you know, and to give the full yes
Yeah.
requires certain lifestyle, like, hello, I'm single. And so it requires you to live a certain way. And then when God gives you a glimpse of what he wants to do through you, it's like, Lord, I want all of that. But
Right.
that it requires,
Right.
like, the yes is not just a word, it is a lifestyle, right? It really is a commitment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lifestyle. Why in the world do we delay saying yes to God? Because we, like you just said, and hold on, I gotta bring Miss June on here because I think like, why? Because you just said it. You were like, I was saying yes, but I was living. It
Yes.
was toxic the way that I was living. I was insecure back then, but I was doing what I wanted to do. But what I wanted to do didn't make me feel good. Like, why do we delay saying yes?
Right.
Y'all, I was a hot mess before I said, okay, yes, 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 yes. I will not compromise my call. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was a hot mess. My life was a hot mess. And I
Yeah.
didn't. So why do we delay the yes, Pastor Stephany? I'm gonna put you back in the green room, Miss June.
I
I
think
saw you cracking up. Yeah.
I think honestly, I really truly believe that it's an accountability thing. Um and then fear. I think I tied my life with the disappointments, the different things that I had gone through. I tied that even in relationships, I connected that with my relationship with God. And it was just like, how dare you? You know, like, how dare you compare me to the people that have disappointed you, like
Wow.
different things like that. And it was just like, dang, I'm sorry. But then I'm looking at all these other things like, oh my gosh, God, you told me to wait on you. You told me you was going to do this and this year. You told me to do that. And it's just like, but you haven't fully surrendered, or you're not walking in boldness. You're not walking in your yes the way that I told you to do. So it was just like taking the, walking in the assignment, but not saying not taking it serious, but it was just like I still felt like I didn't deserve it. And I don't know if that tied into with, being a PK or being, everybody just assumes that every person in your family is a preacher and you're going to be one. It was like I had to kind of like do it because I know that I was called, not because of where my bloodline was connected to and who obtained what, in ministry. It was more so of a thing that, not wanting to make family happy or different things like that. It was because I truly wanted to do it for God, but I had to kind of let go of certain things. I had to kind of let go of the naysayers and the things that people were saying. And, oh, well, because people will talk, they'll say whatever. Oh, they're just making her a pastor because, she's so-and-so's daughter or she's so-and-so's granddaughter. And I think even thinking about that, and God showing me the things that people have said about me, it kind of made me like, I don't think I need to do this, or maybe I don't need to do this, or maybe it was just like a constant juggle. And so the funny thing about it was when our book launched, well, when we launched it, you had said something to us on, I don't know, I think it was in one of our calls. You said, some of y'all have written things that, hasn't truly yet happened, or, you were saying, I believe that it was like a prophecy, like some of our writing were like prophecies for the future, not things that we had gone through. And I had said something about, just wasn't sure, and I never really was open in the prophetic and the prayer. That particular weekend, it was like God started instructing different people who knew, probably knew, like, I know that she has this call in her life, or I know that she operates in this, and that. It was like, and I laughed because I said, God, you are so funny. Because right after you said it, I was like, okay, something about to pop off. It was like God started speaking to me like he had never spoke to me before. But then it was like, okay, well, you said your yes is secure. So, boom. I went to a conference, women's conference. One of the prophets was like, oh, you have something to say? I'm going to call you up. So I'm going to just start calling you up. And so she called my name, and I was like, normally how I would respond to things, I would be like, oh, but it was just like, it was like I heard God say, now is the time. Like, now this is the time for you to move in it. If you are telling other people, to move forward and to embrace that, then I'm gonna do it. So it was just like life started to kind of change right after I had written those words. And even when we launched it, it was just like, I don't know, life has been totally like unusual and different when we launched it. And when you said that, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, she's talking about me. I was like, I know she's talking about me. Like, I talked about the emotions and the things that I had went through, but it was just like, in a moment, in one particular moment, it was like, okay, that was like a prayer. Like, you kind of sealed your yes with that. And it was just like right after I finished writing, because I was going to write about something totally different. It was just like, all right, your yes is secure. So now I need you to kind of walk in it. And it was just like, ever since then, it's like things have been kind of, just different. And I'm just like, wow, like, when you take God serious, I mean, it's like you'll start seeing the things that he's told you or things that he's shown you. And like you said, God gives us the grace. Like, God will give you the grace that you feel that you don't have in certain areas in your life, where he'll just, move in it supernaturally. And it's just like, okay, whoa, where did this come from? Where did this come from? Well, how did I do this? And it was just like, okay. But
and it's
it was
amazing, like
happened. It's just it was intense.
I'm excited. I'm excited about how God is just, listen, he's been doing some big things. Look, when the Lord speaks, I don't remember half of what I say until somebody's like, yeah, you said such and such. And it's like the Lord will bring it back. I'm like, oh, high five, Holy Spirit. You so dope. I'm always high fiving him and stuff.
Yeah.
But what I kept hearing the Lord speak about while you were talking, he said the word inheritance. And to tell you, don't you ever question the inheritance that you're walking in. It doesn't matter who your parents are or the grandparents, and the fact that you've inherited some things. Like we inherit a lot of things. Like we love to say that we are children of God and that we're peculiar people and that we are a royal priesthood. Well, the only way we're able to do that is because we have inherited the benefits of being God's children. So don't you ever, because you're about to come up against some people. I see so much greatness in you. I see that you are a giant in the kingdom. And I saw this before I even knew that you had the title of pastor. There are just some people they don't even know, but there's some people that I tend to like, I'm like real, like, I don't know. Like, I'm like really kind of nurturing with certain people.
Yeah.
I don't tell them. There's some people that I allow them to have access to me. You're one of those people that you always can have access to me, but you are a giant. You are a giant. You will surpass anybody that has ever mentored you. You are going to do that. You're going to find yourself speaking prophetically. You're going to begin to see things that even the generations before you, because you come from a line of prophets. Like you come from people who see well and they speak and they speak accurately. But what God is about to do through you, you're about to be like a bullhorn in the spirit, that when you open your mouth, that literally principalities, I hear God saying principalities, when you go into a geographic area, the principalities that are set up in that space, because you open your mouth and you speak it, those principalities will crumble. And so you cannot go back on this yes. You cannot go back on this yes. You cannot go back on this yes. Okay? Because you are literally, and I mean, it's kingdoms. We know that there's a kingdom of darkness, but there are principalities that we deal with. And you're literally going to walk onto soil. And demons are going to tremble because they know that you walked into the place. You're going to step into a new country. And because you walked into the space, things are going to begin to happen. So yes, there is going to be warfare because of the giant that you are, because you are the bullhorn. You have a quiet voice, but it has a loud impact. A loud impact. And so you are going to come against people who are going to loudly proclaim. I wouldn't even be surprised if some of them get into your inbox. I wouldn't be surprised if some people try to text you or call you or even try to pick a fight. Remember that you are royalty and that you are the bullhorn, and that what you say, God will not allow it to fall to the ground. So you will have to be careful about what you say. And the point of the matter is, truly walk in boldness. Do not be afraid, because God is going to use you mightily in the area of deliverance, and no witch or warlock is going to be able to come up against you, because you are God's anointed. And because you are one of his anointed, they can try and cast a spell on you if they want to, but they better not even try it, because some of them may even die as a form of correction. So when you walk boldly. So when you talk about basic, I really believe that the whole entire ministry is going to end up changing its name. Altogether, if God has not already told you that, it's going to change its name, because what God is saying to me is he doesn't want anybody to question the message that you bring. You're the bullhorn. So even though the name is basic, there's nothing basic about you. There's nothing basic about what you do. The women that you're going to mentor, I see that the Lord was saying to me minutes ago, you're going to be, if you don't already, you're going to mentor people that are twice your age. And you're like, God, what am I able to pour into this people? You are a bullhorn. You're going to be able to speak, and generational curses are going to break. I mean, we're talking about generational curses are going to be breaking and breaking and breaking and breaking. And so everything is about to change. You needed to be in this space of rest. You needed to be in this space to just hear God. And the moment that you sit down and say, all right, God, what's the new name? There's probably going to be a new name, because there needs to not be a question about what happens When Pastor Stephany Smith, when prophetess Stephany Smith steps into a place because she's a bullhorn and we are coming to sound the alarm. I literally see a shofar. I hear a shofar burning in the spirit in my ear. And when they would blow the shofar, that meant that that battle was about to ensue. So they need to understand that when the bullhorn, when the shofar steps into the geographical area, they need to understand what's about to go down. And there's nothing about it that's basic. Not one thing about it. Not one thing about it. Well, God, we thank you. I didn't realize we were going to go there, but God, we thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
People are going to question your inheritance. We don't care anymore. The point of the matter is, people can be upset. They can be upset about your inheritance all day long, but it was predestined that you were born into this family.
Yes.
If y'all mad about that, take it up with God, because he's the one that said that Dr. Smith is supposed to be my mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything that's on the inside of her, it's on the inside of you times 10. She's probably already told you that. She's probably said, baby, you're greater than me. Like, who you are is no surprise to her. So it's no surprise. People just got to get over it. The Lord put me here.
Yeah.
Get over it. Don't even talk to me about that stuff. Get out of my inbox. And if you text me, understand you will not be able to use this number again. No, you will be bold and you're going to be shutting people down. Listen, I've had people that have been coming into my inbox. I've had people that have tried to prophesy to me and it's been incorrect. And I have come now to be comfortable enough. Praise the Lord for people around me. Dr. Davida had to talk me down one day. I'm comfortable enough now to tell people that is not what thus saith the Lord.
Yes. Me too.
It's not.
And a lot of people didn't know how to take that coming from me. They thought it was disrespectful, but I will shut it down. Trust me. If you off. No.
Listen, you are a giant in the kingdom. You better recognize who you speak to. Because the same people that would be upset about you putting them in their place, and I know you did it respectfully, because listen, I've been doing it too. People that are older than me, and I'm like, listen, there was nothing about what I said that is disrespectful, because please understand, I am a grown-up as well. You don't get to just say whatever you want to say to me. You don't get to be disrespectful to me. If I ask you to stop doing something or to stop saying something, it is what I mean.
Yeah.
Girl,
right.
You better get it together. Cassandra said, and royalty is coming. We got Dr. Smith. She's confirming things in there. I love it. I love it. Prophet Elisa said, the Lord put me here. I saw where Dr. Smith actually had said, she said, I am so godly proud of who Stephany is becoming. I'm seeing daily what a secure yes looks like. What a secure yes looks like. You know, my cousin Kenya said to me, I think it was yesterday or possibly even the day before. She said she was just as excited because the Lord has really accelerated things. And she said, this is what obedience looks like. And I was like, okay.
Yes. I love her. Shout out to Kenya for my
oh, you got yours on too. Hey. This is what obedience looks like. This is what, because to be secure in your yes, it requires you to say, okay, I will not compromise my call. No. I had to put some people down. I had to walk away from people I really cared about. I had to walk away from situations, and I actually was okay with it because I have a secure yes. Because I know if I give God yes, He will always give me the best of everything. Alicia, who is Mrs. Delaware, she asked the question. She said, did you realize you were a hot mess while living in it or after saying yes? And if you were talking to me, Alicia, I realized I was a hot mess, like right in the middle of it. Like I was a hot mess and I knew I was. But I gave myself the excuse that I couldn't stop it. And I could stop. I just didn't want to say yes. What about you, Pastor Stephany?
I think it was in the middle. But I think during that time, I would say last year, I think I really secured it within that before 2023 hit. I don't know. It was just something different. Just during that time, because it was like I wanted to say yes, I wanted to be faithful, but I noticed that if I allowed anything toxic in that space while I'm trying to pursue God the way He wants me to pursue Him, it made life a little rough, especially spiritually. And it was just like I'm trying to hear God, but I also got somebody else in my ear, and it was just like, not that I was serving two different gods or anything like that, but I wanted to keep what God told me to let go. in my space. And so it kind of, it was real imbalanced. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna give you my whole yes. I'm getting ready to turn 33, and that's it. And it was just like this particular time, it was just like, I can't play anymore. You know, it's serious. Oh, you made it.
I don't even know when I muted. I didn't do that on purpose, I don't think. But it's amazing because it really does come down to where it's like, this is a life or death situation. And it's not even about a physical thing necessarily, but like spiritually, for me, I felt like this is a life or death thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going backwards. Like I refuse to go backwards. I'm gonna bring Miss June back on here. Alicia says, this was probably a few minutes ago. She said, I literally just said there is nothing. She said, nothing about you is basic. She said, nothing about you is basic. Maria says, y'all are blessing me on tonight. Hallelujah. Amen. 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 Miss June, before you gave God your full yes, did you know that you were a hot mess before or after you said yes?
I think after and before. Before and after.
So you're like Pastor Stephany, you were in the middle.
Yeah. I think I struggled with it because I didn't want to give up some things. And I wanted my cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? But I know you can't do that. Yeah. So yeah. And I think for me, it became a thing once I knew Jesus was my friend. That helped me. I look at him, he's my friend.
Well, the word says, we're friends of God.
Yeah. He knows me.
Friend.
And that helped, right? He knows me. So I can't hide anything from him. He knows it all.
He knows it all.
But you young lady are very powerful, and I enjoy listening to you, Pastor Stephany. Yeah.
I did want to ask you both a question. We are wrapping up for the evening. I didn't mean to keep y'all on here, but y'all just got on here and you just are blessing the airwaves tonight. Both of you in your chapters, you dealt with overcoming insecurity and rejection and what have you. What steps did it take for you to overcome rejection and to be who we see today?
You want to go or?
Oh, yeah, I can go. I think for me, it was really digging into the word to find myself, because a lot of who we are, it's just like when you want to know who you are. I think it was more of an identity thing for me. And so the steps I took was to just kind of listen to the Holy Spirit and find a scripture that was connected to however I was feeling at the time, or whatever it was that I was struggling with, to understand and know that I'm not going to ever be perfect. But, God had already formed me in my mom's womb. He already knew what I would become. He already knew the things that I would deal with or the things that I would battle with. But in the end, it's like when you know that you don't have to accept those things, it's just like the more that I understood who God was in my life and who he is and how he wants us to live, it was just like between that and therapy, it was really like you don't have to have any, you don't have to be depressed. You don't have to hold on to being rejected. You don't have to hold on to being insecure. Find ways that make you feel good about yourself. So it was like I started just doing things without attaching being perfect about it. I was a crazy perfectionist. So it was like with that, I tied that to my insecurities because I felt like I had to be perfect in everything that I've done. But sitting in therapy, therapist broke it down. It was just like, okay, this is what you need to work on. This is what you need to work on. But it was like being able to see myself, forgive myself for how I allowed myself to accept the lies that the enemy told. It was like those were the steps that kind of helped me. I started reading about the truth, what God said about me, just applying them to my life, incorporating them into my prayer life. and being able to kind of just separate myself from people. Miss
Mhm.
June talked about friend, God being her friend. It was like God had to separate me from people who I thought were my friends. Now that was tough, but I also felt connected and started to see myself as, worthless, not worthy enough, or, different things like that. Sometimes people want to have private friendships with you, but don't want to display in public that you're friends. So it was
Honey.
just different things like that were connected to a lot of some of the insecurities that I dealt with. And it was just like, you just gotta let the old go and embrace the new. Sometimes you gotta unlearn and relearn, and those are some of the things that I had to do in order to kind of overcome those things.
I love it. I love it. Miss June?
I think with me is when I begin to see myself as God see me. And as long as he see me as good, those insecurities just went on away. I do still have some, as in being a little timid. Like I was a little intimidated with coming here tonight, but it just went away because you guys made me feel so comfortable. Yeah.
So Pastor Stephany, one of the things that you did early in our one-on-one interview is you said you had to begin pulling down things that people had said to you. And it came back to me because that is so powerful. And I'm thinking about, like, when we've suffered rejection, and when you did that, it's like I saw myself in a room with like wallpaper and that's filled with words, and how we have to intentionally go in and rip things down, right? Because it's what we say to ourselves, right, Miss June? Because Miss June said, I said to myself, this is it. What you say to yourself, you got to rip that down. And one of the things I've started doing, you even mentioned therapy. It's powerful. If people choose to go to therapy, I definitely think it's powerful. The only way it's going to work, though, is if you're honest, because then the therapist can actually say, here are some action steps.
Be
right?
honest. Yeah,
here's some action steps. And I tell people all the time, Dr. Davita Park, she never asked me to mention her. She probably doesn't even know I'm on here. I don't know if she's even still on here. But Dr. Davita Park, if there is somebody, if you are in need of therapy and counseling, if she's not still on here, you can inbox me and I'll make sure that I connect you to her, because I don't have any openings in my space to be able to take on any clients. But one of the things that I know I love that she'll do is she'll say, no, we're going to take it off. So sometimes you have to physically just take off the things that are in your mind. And in this case, imagine the things that people have said to you and you've pinned them on the wall of your mind, right? And then if it takes you literally say, I'm ripping that down and I'm ripping this down too. You would be surprised at what that really does, because you are connecting your mind. Like, I'm telling you, I will literally rip things down now. I like that. Yeah. Rip it down. Take things off of you that don't belong to you. I was speaking to somebody today, and we were talking about something, and I said, you don't wear shame anymore. That garment does not belong to you. Take it off. I'm going to take this thing off of me. And so when it comes to rejection, I agree with what both of you have said, that it has to be intentional. We have to know who God says about us. We got to speak that and allow his words to become the words that we repeat back to ourselves. So I love that this was such a rich interview evening. Alicia says, Stephany, I get you. She said that a few minutes ago. She said, I get you. Yes, yes, yes. And I appreciate the both of you being so open tonight and sharing with us. Man, just the transparency was just so powerful on this evening. I do want to give you each an opportunity to tell everybody how we can connect with you and how we can purchase a copy of the book. For those that you've been hanging out with us now for an hour and just about 45 minutes. First of all, y'all rock. And I know you're here because the testimonies were just incredible. And I pray that, and actually, I don't even need to pray. I saw where everybody was saying how much both women, you resonated with both women, but both of them are inside of God Blocked It, which is the newest #1 international bestselling devotional anthology. This anthology is powerful because not only are there 28 different testimonies in here, but it also comes with a devotion for you to do your own private work, and there are reflection questions as well. And each woman here, they have their own copies. So of course, I ask you all to make sure that you grab your copies from them, so you can get an autographed copy, or you can get it for both of them, and then you can give one away to somebody. So we'll start with you, Miss June. Let everybody know, how can we connect to you online, and how can we purchase a copy of the book from you?
Okay, so you can reach me on my email, which is sydneygirl@gmail.com. And that's Sydney without a Y. So it's SYDNEGIRL@gmail.com. Then on Instagram, I'm Author, all lowercase letters, Author_ on the rise. And my Facebook is June Smith.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And Miss June has a movie that's going to be coming out soon. And she's working on her 3rd solo book project. Yes. So you are a busy girl.
Yes. I'm excited.
Girl. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Pastor Stephany, I want you to let us know, how can we connect to you? I know you have some plans coming up for the Secured Yes, right? You have some things that you're working on. So people are going to need to connect with you about that. Did you want to talk about that tonight? Or is there a way for people to sign up for like an email list or what have you, so that when you unroll some things?
Yeah, I can share just a little bit, and then I'll tell them where they can sign up for the next phase of it. But you can purchase your copy at my website, stephaniesmith.com. You can connect with me via Facebook, Stephany Smith, also on Instagram, Stephany Smith _, and also on TikTok. I'm not really on there, but I plan to be on there a little more often. But I am getting ready to launch the Secured Yes. It is attached to Basic, and everyone has been talking about new name. But it will also be called Basic Training. So it'll be an academy for women. It'll mirror the basic training, the real military basic training. But it will be tackling and battling different things that we encounter through life. So preparing and gearing up for the spiritual battlefield, as it pertains to a purpose-filled life in Christ. So the first series will be the Secured Yes, and I'll have more information. I'll be live next Tuesday, and I'll also just share some updates with the new name, but you can find me on the Basic Podcast TV on Facebook, and I'll also be live streaming from Stephany Smith's page as well. So stay tuned, and I hope to connect with you all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Tonight has been such a good night, and I have just enjoyed this entire Meet the Author series that we've had over the past couple of months. And I of course, I'm going to be going live a lot more, especially on this Amazon podcast. Because listen, the thing that Cyrus did for me a couple weeks ago is showed me where my ranking is on the show. And y'all, we've been in the top 5 this whole year. I know it's only February, but we've been in the top 5 every single week since we've been going live with Meet the Authors. And that's all. Give me a certificate, give me food, give me a ranking.
Yeah,
and I'm there. Okay, I'm like so here for it. But listen, I love each and every one of you. I don't know what just happened. Okay, I thought I heard myself back. I love each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for joining us every single day that you join. Some of you have been here every single broadcast. We appreciate you. I want you to make sure that you stay connected. Remember that I love you, that you were created to make God famous, and he's anointed you to do hard things. And you all have a good evening. Make sure you get your copy of the book, God Blocked It, from one of the ladies that you see on here tonight. And y'all have a good one. Bye over here on Facebook and YouTube.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Amazon.
Bye-bye.